All right. This is Drew Pierce with Fightlete. I am here to introduce UFC Bantamweight Adrian Yanez. Adrian, how you doing today, man?
Man, doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. And yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great. I'm just ready to go. 5 weeks here, and I'm just ready just to get in there and make my debut, man. I'm super excited, super stoked. It's going to be a great performance.
Absolutely. And we will get to that fight in a second. But before that, I want to touch on your Contender Series performance. It was a couple months ago. You went in there, you made really quick work, you finished your opponent in less than a minute. What is it like, and what kind of advantage do you have that you're going into this and you really didn't take any damage and you're going to do kind of a quick turnaround?
Man, I find it really a really big advantage because I never stopped training. I never got hurt in that fight. My hands, that was the only thing that was sore, but it was only for a day or two. But after that, I was able to get back into training and start training again. I was ready to go a couple weeks after the fight, but I ended up getting scheduled here on October 31st, which to me is a blessing in disguise. Even though I wanted a quick turnaround, uh, the blessing in disguise is I get to fight on Anderson Silva's retirement card. So that to me is like even much more amazing. But since I fought in the contenders, I already have that feel of the bigger stage. I fought in front of Dana White, Mick Maynard, and Sean Shelby, all the bosses. So it just felt really really good just to go ahead and get that out the way. And I really don't feel like I'm making my UFC debut. It feels just like another fight to me, especially since there's no crowd. You won't get that big crowd sensation, but I just feel like I'm walking into the contenders all over again. I'm just ready, excited, and ready to go.
Absolutely. And the Contender Series has kind of evolved into this really interesting way to get a UFC contract. Take me through that process and what you had to go through to get where you are today.
Man, I had to go through a lot. I actually just saw there's this guy on Twitter who was going back and went back to like 2014 and was looking at some of my highlights. Man, I remember the one of the highlights they posted in that fight, the Levi Moles fight, my second pro career, my first pro career loss, first loss ever, and just seeing how far and how better I've gotten since that, like my beginning of my career to now. It's just amazing. The leaps and bounds that I've made in my progression is just crazy. And then also from 2014 all the way to 2020, finally getting my shot to be in the UFC. That to me has been a little bit mind blowing. I'm still just like, holy crap, it's actually here. It's actually happening. But man, it's just a wonderful thing. Like the progression that happened within those last couple of years, and for me to be here is just one of these things that I'm like super excited, super stoked about.
Absolutely. And along those same lines, I remember watching the press conference after you got that win, and you kind of just looked at the UFC microphone in shock. Was that kind of the first moment you realized, oh wait, I'm a UFC fighter, and what was going through your mind?
Man, that thoughts exactly, man. Thoughts exactly. I stated my case and to show that I belong, and they accepted me, and it pretty much was just solidification. Also, at that time, I really wasn't taking in. I didn't take in what I thought I did at that moment. And then once I sat on that stage, got in front of the reporters to ask the questions, and I looked at the mic, I was just like, this is. I worked hard for this. I worked really hard for it, and I felt like I deserved it. So me just looking at it, because I was in no type of I was not looking past that fight at all. I had no plans, anything else. Like Brady was one that was like that was the fight, and I had nothing scheduled past. Wasn't looking past him. I wasn't looking like, oh man, I want to fight this day, this day, this day, this day. I had only prepared myself up to the Contender Series, and I was fully prepared to fight Brady. So after the fight, like everything was just starting to hit me. Like I did it. Holy crap! What's next? Holy crap! And then so whenever I sat down at the press conference, picked up the microphone, and I was like, holy crap! I did it. I did it. I accomplished the one goal that I had set for and like strive for like 100%, and I passed with flying colors, and I'm here. That's exactly how I felt.
Now, has that mindset changed and now that you have a contract, or is that like stay hungry mentality still really important to you?
Oh man, I got the stay hungry mentality, man, because I know it's like this. You go on a 2-fight losing streak, you're cut, man. You're cut. So you have to stay hungry. A lot of these people, they get complacent. They're like, oh, I'm in the UFC. They get the name UFC behind them, and they get complacent, and they don't want to work harder. They just want the status of being in the UFC. Me, no, I want to be in the top 5 within the next 2 or 3 years. I want to work hard for it, and I don't want to be given. I don't want it's not going to be given to me. I already know this. I'm going to have to work hard for it. So I'm hungry. I'm ready to go. And plus, man, like just like Khabib, his first fight was 16,000 that he went home with. His last just his last fight with Justin Gaethje, he took home 10 million. That like he dedicated himself hard to this and trained really hard, and that just shows hard work and dedication can get you those bigger paychecks. And man, I'm trying to change my life. I'm trying to change my life like how Khabib did. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to leave a legacy behind. So I got many goals that I've set for myself, and that I'm trying to push, trying to hit those goals and make bigger and better goals so I can keep accomplishing and staying hungry. Because man, once you once you stop being hungry, man, it's a downhill road from there. So I'm just doing everything possible for me to come out with a win October 31st.
Absolutely. And now that you're here, you finally have a date for your proper debut. How do you feel that you fit into this bantamweight division that's really grown a lot lately and has a lot of really skilled top contenders?
And it just makes room for improvements everywhere, man. I look at it, man, and a lot of people, they get scared. They get super scared, and they're just like, oh man, like what if I got to go in there and fight a Cheeto Vera, a Ricky Simone, or Aljamain Sterling, or Cody Stanman, or Sandhagen, and all these other guys, man. They start looking at those guys, and they're just like, oh wow, these are tough fights. Me, I look at all those names and just look at the top 15 itself, and I just get excited because I'm just like, man, there's a lot of room improvement I need to do to get there. And once I get there, I want like I'm always playing catch up. That's the way I feel. So I have to bust my ass off just to go up there and be able to compete with those guys. And to me, that excites me because that gives me new challenges. That gives me something to strive for. And I'm just ready, man. Like the division is stacked. If I wanted it an easier route, man, everybody, like I can do it. Cody Garbrandt did and drop down to flyweight. But that's not me, man. I want to go out there and just fight the best fighters. And right now, I think the most stacked division in the UFC is the 135 division. You know, you can make a case at 155. Now I don't know how stacked the 185 division is because you got the guy who solidified everything, Izzy Adesanya. So it's between those two, all three, the 115 women's division, the 135 male division, and the 155 male division. So man, being just to be in there and fighting at the 135 division with the stat killers. Just the other day, UFC 254, you had Casey Kenny versus Nathaniel Woods. That fight was great. Those type of fights, whenever I'm looking at it, like excite me. I want to go in there and have those type of fights. So, man, I I'm not scared of this, man. I'm ready for it. I'm ready, like just to jump in there.
Absolutely. Now we'll get to your fight coming up, October 31st. I believe is the first Halloween card that the UFC's ever put on. Your original opponent, Aaron Phillips, dropped out of the fight. Was there ever any doubt about, oh man, I might get pushed back a few weeks, this might get canceled? Was that doubt in your mind?
Yeah, I had no idea for like it was weird because I ended up getting a random message from somebody saying like, hey, oh my bad, like I didn't know that you didn't know. I was like, wait, what? And I looked back at the messages and I was like, oh man, okay, like this makes sense now. And then within an hour later, my manager tells me, hey, looks like Aaron pulled, and I was like, I I had a weird feeling that was gonna happen. I had this slight weird feeling that I felt like he was gonna pull out. But you know, we found a replacement. I was really worried for about you know, like a good 12 to 18 hours, you know, before like the next day they already had somebody lined up for me. Uh, they found somebody lined up for me. I think Victor Rodriguez. To me, I'm just ready. I'm just happy that I got to fight on October 31st because I really wanted to fight on this fight card, man. Like it sucks, you know, if you have a set date and they're like, oh well, you gotta push this fight 2 weeks further down. You're like, ah man, I gotta train 2 more harder weeks. Like, well, I'm ready now. I want to go now. So luckily, they were able to find a replacement for October 31st, and I'm super excited, super stoked, man. Making my UFC debut, man. This is still crazy to me.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Victor Rodriguez will also be making his UFC debut. Now, the difference that I can see, like you already mentioned, you've been to the Apex. You've been in a UFC event. What is the leg up going to be that because you already know the atmosphere, because you already have fought in front of the big dogs, how is that going to really help you in this fight?
Man, I feel it's gonna help me out a lot. And then plus, this is to to me, this is his biggest fight. My biggest fight was Brady, and I passed that with flying colors. This is my next biggest fight, but I've already had that big fight feeling of fighting in the Apex, you know, fighting in front of Dana White, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, just even fighting for a contract. You know, I feel like the contender series, you get that one shot.
Yep.
You get that one shot, and if you don't pass, you fail. You don't get the other shot. At least in the UFC, like you go your debut, you lose one, you signed a 3-fight, 4-fight contract, so you get another shot. So me looking at this, I'm like, this is his biggest fight to me. I've already secured my spot. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna walk across and I'm gonna starch this guy either way. That's just my mentality. But to me, this is not my biggest fight. My biggest fight, in the sense of like how high the stakes are, was Brady because I only had that one shot. This one, he's gonna come in there, man. I think he's gonna go in there and try to make a statement within the first 2 minutes, man. But and within those first two minutes, he's gonna throw everything he got, and then that third minute, I'm just gonna be like, oh, that's all you had, and just finish him.
Absolutely. You kind of mentioned it earlier. This will be Anderson Silva's last fight on the same event that you are fighting on. What does that really mean to you to be? I mean, it is historical in a way that this legend of the sport is finally done and you're going to be a part of that. What is that like?
And to me, it's amazing, man. It's really, really amazing because I just remember all the fights where I can literally go back and remember a lot of these like fights where he's taken where like I can remember where all the fights have taken place and where I've been at. Like the front kick with Vitor Belfort, man. I was at CC's Pizza and we are watching the fights at CC's, you know, watching the fights, and I remember just sitting there watching in amazement him doing like the little hand, the Wing Chun with his hands, and then stops, looks, gazes around, and front kicks him in the face. I just remember just being like, "Holy crap, he did that!" And then even whenever he did that to Stephan Bonner, I was at my brother's apartment. We're watching the fights, and I was just in amazement of how he was doing whenever his back was against the fence. You know, just staying there, staying calm, making it look like the Matrix, and just ends up finishing Stephan Bonner. So I can remember like a lot of the times where Anderson Silva's fought. I can remember the places where I was at when he fought. So that to me, you know, to fight on his retirement, you know, the last place that I know where I'm gonna be watching him fight is gonna be the place where I make my debut. To me, that's a cherry on top, man. That's a super cherry on top for me, man. I'm so happy about it. That's why I didn't want to get off this card, because that to me means a lot. To fight on somebody who I idolize so much, and at points was trying to mimic what he does. If any fighter didn't try to mimic what Anderson Silva has done, then I don't know. I don't think you're a fan of MMA. but uh, but yeah, I also think it's somewhat symbolic too because the day a legend retires, I'm making my debut. So there's a lot of things that are going in my head, but I'm just super excited. I'm super stoked, and man, I'm hoping to put a a Silva like a Silva type of finish on this guy.
That would be a sight to see for sure. Are there any aspects of this camp coming out of the Contender Series that you're really focusing on for this? Is there, a certain aspect or two that you've been working on a little bit extra?
No, not necessarily. Man, it's always been the same thing. Just getting myself better in every aspect. I'm not worried about who's in front of me or what's going on around me. I just got to get myself better. I have to sit there and I have to go out there and compete against everybody on any given day. Especially, I was preparing for Aaron Phillips and then end up getting Victor Rodriguez, pretty much like a week and a half out before the fight. So, you got to be ready for anybody, man. And for me, it's always been I have to be better. I have to make them worry about me, not me worry about them. So that's exactly how I treat it. Once we start breaking into those top 10, top fives, then you can start looking and start breaking down and start training specifically. But as of right now, man, I'm just really focused on me, really focused on me and performing at a great pace. Being able to go out there and go 5-5s. So I'm out there just grinding, getting better, and just making sure I'm honing my own technique. I'm not letting anybody else's outside influence, try to influence me. Me, my coach, and my training partners. That's it. We're out there just gonna go out there and grind, and it's gonna show October 31st whenever I go out there and start Victor Rodriguez.
Absolutely. Do you have your eyes kind of set on anyone else in the division right now, or are you just solely focused on Saturday?
I'm I'm solely focused on Saturday. I'm like, of course, everybody wants to go out there and think about what's ahead, but man, Victor Rodriguez is the guy, man. It was Aaron Phillips, but now it's Victor Rodriguez. Uh, I don't, it'd be pretty cool to get that Aaron Phillips fight back, but to me, it's really not nothing anymore. Uh, so it's just a matter of to see who's up next. There's a couple of guys I keeping my eye on just because I know we might cross paths sometime. So I'm keeping my eye out. But Victor Rodriguez has my full attention October 31st.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I just have one last question. What is your official prediction as to how this fight will go?
Oh man, first round finish. First round finish is. I'm gonna try to do it as spectacular as I can, man. That's the thing. First round finish, and it's not gonna be me looking for it. It's just gonna come. It's just gonna come. I'm not forcing it. Not forcing anything. It's just gonna come. It's somehow, some way, is gonna happen. Something special is gonna happen that night. Hence the spider, the Silva. I think it's just something great's gonna happen.
Absolutely. You'll have to harness your inner Anderson Silva in this one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Adrian, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.